My name is Michelle Turner, and I'm 46 years old. I'm a full-time housewife. My husband, Ted, works as an employee at a major car manufacturer. We don't have any kids, and we've tried multiple rounds of fertility treatments, but they haven't been successful. And since the costs are so high, we've recently given up. Ever since we stopped the treatments, Ted has been acting strangely. He's been coming home late from work and leaving the house a lot on weekends, which wasn't like him before. Hey, he's weird lately. He hasn't gone out this much before. I asked my sister, Emily, for advice about Ted. Emily is 14 years younger than me, and I've always thought she was adorable. In fact, she's really cute and has always been popular. I thought that with her experience, Emily might have some insight.
Well, maybe he just feels like a weight has been lifted off his shoulders.
A weight off his shoulders?
Yeah, you've been going through fertility treatment since you got married, right? It must have been tough for him mentally. Now that you're done, he's probably just cutting loose a little.
That makes sense. We were even cutting back on drinking during the treatments, and I probably pushed Ted too hard. I agreed with Emily's words. Thanks, Emily. You always know what to say.
You're welcome.
Emily smiled sweetly at me. But just a week later, everything took a sudden turn.
I want a divorce.
A divorce. I was stunned by Ted's sudden words. Wait, it's too sudden to think about it, so give me some time. That's all I managed to say. Emily, what should I do? I knew something was off with him.
Michelle, calm down. What exactly happened?
I reached out to Emily again and told her everything. Ted asked for a divorce. Even when I asked him why, he wouldn't answer, and now I just don't know what to think. Emily tilted her head and put her finger to her chin, deep in thought.
Maybe Ted really wanted kids?
Kids? I wanted them too.
Yeah, but even after all those doctor visits and spending all that money, you didn't get pregnant, right? Maybe Ted thinks he can't be a father as long as he's married to you.
What? So he's dumping me because of that? If that's the case, he should just say it.
There's no way he'd say that. Like, a woman who can't get pregnant isn't a real woman.
What?
Ted doesn't want to hurt you, so he's avoiding telling you the real reason for your divorce.
Wait, did she just say, a woman who can't get pregnant isn't a real woman? But Emily, sitting right in front of me, looked concerned and held my hand as if to comfort me.
For now, why don't you try talking it out a bit more? Oh, is that the time? Sorry. I've got plans with my boyfriend. See you later, Michelle.
Yeah, see you. Her words stuck with me, but before I could ask, she was gone. Emily's right. I need to find out the reason. I'll talk to Ted. I paid the bill and went home. For the next month, no matter how much I asked, Ted still wouldn't give me a reason for wanting our divorce. Frustrated, I stubbornly refused to agree to the divorce. How long is this going to go on? Why won't Ted just tell me what's going on? There's no way I can accept this. It's like we've both entered a standoff, waiting to see who will give in first. Suddenly, the doorbell rang cheerfully. Oh, Emily's here? Emily was on the screen, smiling and waving. It's rare for her to come by without a heads up. I invited Emily inside. Why the sudden visit? As I asked, Ted came down from the second floor.
She's here.
Did you call her, Ted? For what? I looked back and forth between them, not understanding, and suddenly they turned serious. What sudden? Hey, what's up? I was so confused I nearly crouched down. Then, in a strained voice, Ted said,
I've chosen your sister and our unborn child. Please sign the divorce papers.
What? At that moment, everything clicked. I see. So that's what's been going on. No wonder you couldn't tell me the reason for the divorce.
I'm really sorry, but this is the truth.
Ted had been having an affair with my sister, Emily. The Emily I had adored since she was a little girl. Since when?
Huh?
Since when have you two been involved? Emily spoke up this time.
It's not Ted's fault. It's all me. Do you remember when you and he came to our family's house to introduce him? I kinda liked him back then. Actually, I did.
Wait, are you telling me this has been going on since then?
No, absolutely not. We only started seeing each other in the past 6 months.
Since Ted was your partner, I tried to bury my feelings. But when I heard you two had stopped the fertility treatments, I got worried about him and emailed him.
Yeah, and I was happy to get Emily's email. After that, we started meeting up here and there. And before I knew it,
What the hell? You didn't think cheating on your wife with her sister was wrong.
of course, I did. But talking to Emily just made me feel at peace. I felt like I wanted to protect her.
And I still love him. I can't lie to myself anymore.
What on earth am I witnessing right now? It felt like I was watching some pathetic soap opera unfold right before my eyes, and I was starting to feel beyond anger. Okay, I get the picture. So, Emily, while you were having an affair with Ted, you sat there pretending to be clueless when I asked for advice.
I'm really sorry.
Emily hung her head and apologized meekly.
It's not her fault. This is all on me.
Ted was desperately trying to shield Emily, who looked downcast. But I knew the truth behind that apologetic face of hers.
I've always wanted kids.
I know. That's why we worked so hard up until now.
But it didn't work. I'm sorry, but I want to be a father. Please, sign the divorce papers.
Ted said firmly. Next to him, Emily was gently rubbing her belly. Okay. That single word made both of their faces light up.
Thank you, Michelle.
Michelle, thank you. I knew you'd understand.
It's nothing. Is this the divorce paper? I glanced at the paper on the table.
Yeah, it is.
I'll sign it right now. I grabbed the pen sitting next to the phone and signed the papers. So, you'll be paying me alimony, of course?
Of course. You can have half of our joint account, and I'll also cover your moving expenses.
Well, that settled quickly. I'll go ahead and submit the divorce papers then.
Oh, Michelle, while you're at it, could you submit our marriage license too? It's so hot outside and, well, I am pregnant.
Sure, of course. I went to file my divorce papers with Ted and their marriage papers. When I returned, less than 30 minutes later, Ted, who was no longer my husband, looked at me and asked,
Why are you still smiling?
It was because I was about to give them a little parting gift. Oh, that's because. I looked Ted straight in the eyes. You're being deceived by Emily.
What are you talking about?
Ted furrowed his brows, while Emily, standing slightly behind him, started to avoid my gaze.
Michelle, I'm not feeling well. Can I go home now? Ted, could you take me back?
Emily was clearly eager to leave, pulling on Ted's arm. Oh no, are you okay? In that case, why don't you rest here for a bit? I'll make you something warm to drink. Moving around too much will just make you feel worse.
Yeah, let's stay here a while, all right?
But
Now, about how you're being deceived by Emily.
Michelle,
You know, maybe someone like Emily is exactly what a cheating man like Ted deserves.
Someone like Emily? Isn't that a bit harsh? Especially about your own sister.
Because she's my sister, I know everything. You know, she's been divorced 3 times already.
Divorced? Emily, you were married? 3 times?
And she even has a kid with her last husband.
all 3 of them were abusive.
Emily, lying isn't going to help. All of your divorces were because of your affairs, weren't they? Ted stood there, mouth agape, staring at Emily.
That's not true.
Isn't it? The custody of your child was given to the father, and you're not even allowed visitation rights because a cheating mother is seen as a bad influence.
Tell me that's not true, Emily. Please?
Ted grabbed Emily by the shoulders and shook her violently. Had he forgotten that she was pregnant? Oh, and the alimony for all 3 divorces? Our parents paid for it. They've always spoiled Emily, but I'm afraid this time is different.
Dad and Mom are on my side.
If they still support you after finding out you cheated on your sister's husband and got pregnant, then I'll lose all respect for them.
Wait. I can't follow all this.
Well, you better keep up because we're only getting started. I'm about to tell you all about Emily's colorful love life.
Michelle?
She's always been a serial dater. Even back in high school, she'd be dating 2 or 3 guys at once. And when she became an adult, it only got worse. She started going after men with high-paying jobs. I glanced at Emily, who was now glaring at me with eyes full of rage. I continued without hesitation. Her first husband was a banker, the second was a salesman at a trading company, and the third ran a restaurant.
They just kept getting more prestigious.
Ted was in shock. It's pretty easy to figure out how Emily's mind works, isn't it? But then things started to go downhill.
Downhill?
Most of the good men her age are already married now, and Emily's 32, so she doesn't get as many offers from men as she used to.
Stop making wild assumptions.
Emily, clearly confident in herself, was furious. Emily wasn't getting as much attention from men as she used to, so she was desperate to get married. And then I show up with Ted, a man working for a big company. You must have been really jealous.
Wow, delusional much? You really think you're that great, don't you?
I remember your face when Ted and I came to introduce him to my family. It was scary. You might not have noticed, but you were glaring at me. I thought I was imagining it back then, but now I know I wasn't. Emily marched up to me, raising her right hand.
Emily, calm down. Think about the baby.
Ted grabbed her arm, stopping her as she took deep breaths to regain her composure. Oh, how sweet, thinking of the mother and child.
Michelle, I told you to stop with these crazy fantasies. You've always been jealous of me, haven't you? Our parents adored me, and even your boyfriends liked me more than you.
Emily's counterattack brought back unpleasant memories from the past. Yes, all my boyfriends ended up liking Emily. In high school, I dated a guy from my class. When I invited him over to study, Emily would always come to say hi.
Emily is so cute.
Every single boyfriend said that. And then a few weeks later, they'd all say the same thing.
Sorry, but I've fallen for Emily.
Ever since back then, you've hated me, right? I get it. Then, after you got married, you acted like you'd won or something. It's so annoying. Someone boring like you should just live a boring life.
Emily?
Ted blinked in disbelief, having never seen this side of her before. That's why I didn't introduce you to Emily before marrying you. Every guy I dated before said she gave them signals. Well, it doesn't matter now, but still. Tears welled up in my eyes before I could continue. Even so, I thought of you as my cute little sister, Emily. You were spoiled and selfish, but I told myself my boyfriends just didn't have good taste. But this betrayal, it was true. I had always thought of her as adorable. And that's why the shock of her betrayal cut so deeply, and a fierce sense of betrayal rose up inside me. After wiping my tears, I turned back to Ted. Emily only wanted your salary and your status as a big company employee. Well, maybe she also just wanted to take a man away from me.
Even if all of that is true, your feelings for me are real, right?
Ted looked at Emily, desperately seeking reassurance.
Of course. It wasn't because you were Michelle's partner that I fell in love with you. I love you because you're Ted.
Well done, Emily. Your acting has really improved. Emily had always been good at hiding her true feelings and making others feel special. I remembered how some of our uncles used to shower her with gifts because of it.
Right? Maybe you were like that before, but you're not like that now, right? Emily's grown up.
Yeah.
Here we go again, another pathetic drama unfolding. I crossed my arms and watched the next act of this sad little play. But I couldn't watch this for much longer. It was time to bring the curtain down on this act. People's personalities don't change that easily. If they did, she wouldn't have gone after my husband. As I called out from the audience, the two glared at me, clearly irritated by my interruption.
Michelle, why are you still here? You submitted the divorce papers, so leave now.
Yeah, this is my and Emily's house now. Just pack up your stuff, call a moving company for the rest, and send me the bill later.
Before that, there's one important thing I forgot to mention.
Important thing?
Ted, after everything you've just heard, doesn't any of it bother you?
What do you mean?
Michelle, are you stalling because you don't want to leave? It's pathetic. Just stop.
Emily, you seem awfully eager to kick me out. Is there something you're hiding?
There's nothing.
Really?
Really?
If you insist, maybe that's true. But let me just share one theory I have. As I straightened my posture, both of them did the same, preparing for whatever was coming next. Once the moment felt right, I said what I had been thinking all along. Are you sure the baby Emily is carrying is actually yours, Ted?
What the hell are you saying?
That's horrible. Even you, Michelle, I won't forgive you for this.
Just as I expected, they both flew into a rage, hurling insults at me.
Are you saying that because you're upset about Emily's pregnancy? Are you trying to stress her out and make her miscarry?
Ted grabbed my collar and yanked me towards him. Let go. You're going to stretch out my clothes. My calm reaction only made him grip me harder. I told you it's just a theory. Now let go. I swiftly knocked his arm upward, causing him to lose his balance.
Whoa!
He let out a pitiful sound. Then I explained why I'd suggested it. We've been doing fertility treatments together for over 10 years. And yet, you didn't think it was odd that all of a sudden she got pregnant so quickly? Ted smirked, mocking me.
Not at all. The fact that we couldn't conceive, but Emily and I did right away, just proves you were the problem all along.
But I had tests done during our treatments, and they confirmed I didn't have any major issues with fertility. You should remember that, right?
Oh, did they? I don't recall.
You don't even remember something that important. I took those treatments seriously. Did you really want kids, Ted?
Of course I did. That's why I'm divorcing you and marrying Emily.
He spread his arms protectively in front of her.
Anyway, stop insulting my wife.
I looked at Emily, who was being protected by Ted. She stood behind him looking uncomfortable, but Ted, with his back to her, didn't notice. No need for me to point it out to him. I decided to let it go. Then I made a suggestion. Once the baby is born, how about you get a DNA test? Ted's face flushed with anger and Emily gasped sharply.
Are you still going on about this? Knock it off. You're scaring Emily.
What's she so scared of? Is it that the test might show the baby isn't yours?
She's pregnant. Her emotions are all over the place. Oh, wait. You wouldn't know that, would you? You've never been pregnant.
Wow, you've really done your research. Good for you. Make sure you keep supporting her, okay? No matter what happens.
Obviously. Right, Emily?
Yeah, Michelle. You can live your lonely life alone.
I'll happily do just that. I took my suitcase out of the storage closet and began packing what I needed.
Finally ready to leave, huh?
And make sure you leave the house key, okay? Wouldn't want you making a spare. That would be creepy.
The two of them watched me pack with barely concealed amusement. Once I finished and headed to the door, they followed closely behind.
Take care now. Hope you have a good life.
Bye, Michelle. Don't worry, I'll take good care of this house.
Emily, take care of your health. And Ted,
What is it? I'll listen to anything you have to say one last time.
make sure you work hard so Emily doesn't ditch you like her previous husbands. I said earlier that her divorces were because of her affairs, but I just remembered there were other reasons too.
Other reasons?
Her first husband was relocated. Her second had poor sales performance, and the third's restaurant went under. Once they stopped bringing in money, Emily cheated and moved on to the next guy.
Huh?
She's the type to cheat just to dump a man who can't make enough money. That's who Emily really is.
Michelle, stop with these crazy fantasies.
I don't think it's a fantasy at all. Anyway, good luck, Ted.
Oh, yeah.
The look on Ted's face just before the door closed was priceless. His whole demeanor screamed, "Did I make the right decision with this marriage?" All right, time to head back to my parents' place. Dragging my suitcase behind me, I headed to the station. A year later, I had started a new job and was living alone. I've been worried about whether I could find work at my age, but my dad pulled some strings with a friend and got me a full-time position. Fortunately, my parents were furious with Emily for everything that had happened and declared that she was no longer their daughter. If they had sided with Emily, I don't know what I would have done, but I'm glad they didn't. Sipping tea from my favorite cup, I was in a great mood. Suddenly, my phone vibrated on the table. I glanced at the screen. It was Ted, my ex-husband. It's been a year since our divorce, so what could he possibly want now? Curious but suspicious, I answered the call. Hello.
Michelle? It's been a while. How have you been?
Ted's voice was flat, and even over the phone, I could sense his exhaustion. Yeah, it has been. What do you want? I replied coldly, without emotion.
Well, I've been thinking about what you said that day, so I took the test.
What test?
The DNA test.
After getting so angry and saying it was impossible,
Yeah, And you were right. The kid isn't mine.
Ted's voice was pained as he muttered the words. I figured as much. Anything else? If not, I'm hanging up.
Is that all you're going to say? At least hear me out. When I told Emily about it, she just said, "Oh, really?" Like it didn't even matter. Meanwhile, I'm standing there, my mind totally blown.
Did you really think someone who's been divorced 3 times would care about who her child's father is? Her mind is completely messed up.
You were right. I wish I could turn back time. Since we got married right after our divorce, I'm listed as the father on the birth certificate.
Why are you stating the obvious? I rolled my eyes.
I mean, I'm going to have to raise a child that isn't even mine. Just thinking about it makes me sick.
You are truly the worst. Sick. You ignored my warnings, married her, and had a child, and now the baby is the real victim. One thing is clear, you're not fit to be a father. Ted sounded confused as I began to speak more forcefully. I can't stand this anymore. I'm hanging up.
Wait, I haven't gotten to the real reason I called.
Is there something worse?
I need your help.
Why would I help you?
Emily's spending is out of control. I had to give you half of our savings and pay alimony, so I need to save. But she doesn't care about our budget at all.
None of this is new. Didn't I tell you that all her past husbands made good money and that she only chose men based on their income? That's why I told you to work hard.
I didn't think it would be this bad.
Emily has always loved the flashy life and would constantly ask her boyfriends to buy her things.
But she wasn't like that with me.
That was part of her plan. If she acted modest and wore simple clothes, men would let their guard down and think she was a low-maintenance sweet girl. You were dancing in the palm of her hand, just like the others. Ted said nothing. Emily's personality hasn't changed, and now you're the one paying the price. After a moment, Ted began to speak quietly.
I told Emily once to stop wasting money. She said it was a reward for giving birth. If the baby had been mine, I might have understood. But it wasn't, so her words didn't mean anything to me.
I silently listened to Ted's story. But in reality, I was glancing through a shopping catalog while he spoke.
So, I took away her family credit card and told her to start keeping a budget. That's when she brought up our divorce.
So, she basically told you that you were no longer useful, just like all her other husbands. Ted fell silent again, unable to reply. About a minute passed before he spoke up once more, just as I was about to hang up.
Emily said she'd give me full custody of the child.
To Emily, the child must have been nothing more than an obstacle in her search for her next husband. She is the most terrifying human being.
I regret it so much. Marrying Emily after betraying you was the worst mistake of my life.
I know how badly you wanted a child. I wanted one too. But when I finally came to terms with not being able to have one and tried to move forward, you betrayed me. I will never forgive you for that.
I'm really sorry, Michelle. I know this is so much to ask, but
Ted's voice faltered. I had a bad feeling. What is it?
could you lend me some money?
Excuse me? The request was so outrageous, I responded as if I were in a comedy sketch.
It looks like we're headed for a court battle over the divorce and custody.
When most people fight over custody, it's about who gets to take the child. But in your case, it's a fight over who can dump the child on the other. You're both pathetic.
Yeah, you're right. But I can't afford the court fees. Please, I'll pay you back. Maybe not all at once, but in installments.
Installments? Absolutely not. There's no way I'm helping to fund that pathetic excuse for a legal case. As I rejected his request, I heard the sound of a baby crying in the background. Is the child with you? What about Emily?
Emily left 2 days ago and hasn't come back. I might not see her again until the court date. Her parents said she hasn't gone back to their place either.
Of course not. She's been practically disowned.
Where could she be?
That's your problem. Good luck with that.
Wait. So, are you going to lend me the money or not?
Of course not. Don't make me laugh. We're not connected anymore, Ted, so I don't owe you anything. Good luck with your court case. And with that, I hung up the phone. Ted called back immediately, but I ignored it and blocked his number. In the end, Ted and Emily didn't go to court. Instead, they settled the divorce through mediation. But it didn't go as smoothly as they expected, and it remained at a standstill for a while.
It seems like they're arguing over the division of assets. Emily wants the house that you and Ted used to live in. She's so selfish.
My mom, who had come over for a visit, grumbled as she sipped her coffee. At first, after my divorce, my mom had felt some guilt over cutting Emily off. But after seeing how Emily behaved during the mediation, that guilt disappeared, and she no longer had any sympathy for her. Ted's refusing to let her have the house, right? I mean, it's the one thing he was able to keep after giving me half the savings and paying the alimony. The idea of Emily taking it now is pretty hilarious.
It really is.
Mom and I laughed out loud as we munched on some snacks.
Neither of them wants custody of the baby. I can't believe how they're treating life. It's horrifying to think she's my own child.
Emily has always been selfish and only interested in herself. I never imagined she'd be so indifferent to her own child, though.
Usually, mothers have an advantage in custody battles. But considering Emily's lack of a job and difficult personality, Ted might actually end up with custody.
Who knows? It's hard to say.
The baby didn't do anything wrong, and it's just so sad.
But if you try to help, you'll only be enabling Emily again. We have to stay strong and not let her manipulate us this time. Otherwise, it'll be the same cycle all over again. We decided to stay out of the situation and let things play out. As for me, I'm enjoying my return to the working world. I'm not a full-time employee, but the company I work for gives bonuses, so I feel motivated to keep going. I never thought at almost 50 I'd land a job this good. I'm incredibly grateful to the company for hiring me, and I plan to work as hard as I can. As for my weekends, I'm going to use them for myself to relax and have fun. Now that I'm single again, I'm excited for my future.